Hello, if you want to watch exclusive lemon content on What If Naruto, then go to my Boosty. The first link in the description here contains such hot stories for adults, such as What If Naruto was a daddy for Sarada, or Kushina and Mikoto vulgar Naruto mommies. Follow the link and enjoy. I'm waiting for you.
We are and Blonde Save More fan of Heroes Law Q. This is my first fanfic, and I'm completely new to this, so bear with me if I make a lot of mistakes. Summary: the story will follow the events of the manga in the future. The alliance formed by the elemental nations has lost the fourth ninja war, but many shinobi are still fighting for hope. Throw. Yuki Madara has managed to gather all the tailed beasts and free the 10th tailed beast from its lethargy. Uzumaki Naruto has been given a second chance to return to the past and prevent this dark future from repeating itself. The couples are Naruto Zeren with a total of 7 girls, 3 more. Older and 4 of the same age, nothing more and nothing less. Chapter 1. A Second Chance. The stench of blood and death polluted the air as many bodies lay motionless on the vast burnt battlefield. The only sounds that could be heard were the roar of the 10-tailed beast, causing havoc and chaos in the distant land. While the remaining shinobi fought against the beast and its master standing on his gigantic head, his teacher Yuki Madara laughing at all the death and destruction and loudly proclaimed, "The war is over and I have won. With the power of the beast I will rewrite and change this pathetic world in my utopia." Ha 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 ha. The more the shinobi continued the assault on the beast and its master, holding on to whatever shred of hope was left. A 24-year-old blonde man, lonely, bleeding and injured, looked around and saw the motionless bodies of his friends. He closed his eyes in a moment of silence before continuing to search for the most precious people in his life. After 10 minutes of searching, he stood staring with his head down at the lifeless bodies of his wives. A thunderclap was heard and it started raining. Yuyu Yugao-chan, Ananko-chan, Mei-Mei-chan, and No-chan. Chan Tamari-chan, and Nimata-chan Sasakura-chan, he said quietly as his legs gave way, and he fell to his knees. Then, he lured each of his wives to snuggle up around him. Their lifeless heads fell on his shoulders, chest and back as tears streamed down his mustachioed face. He shouted at the dark and gloomy sky. The memories of them were projected in his mind, and once the memories stopped, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. He was alone once more. Minutes that seemed like hours passed before I laid them down one by the side of life. Of each other, and will kiss them each on the forehead. "I will meet with you girls soon, I promise," he said, smiling at them. He slowly turned his head towards the large beast before pouncing on it. His mind overflowed with anger, hatred, and revenge. Just as he was about to activate his jutsu, 9 orbs of light appeared in front of him, and he stopped abruptly. Before his eyes, the 9 orbs of light took on the shape of the 9-tailed beasts. "What's the matter?" he said in an astonished voice. "I thought all of you had been sucked into the 10 tails," he said confused. "Only our chakra has been absorbed. What you see now are our souls that have been left. Over the years, each of us has managed to develop souls that have allowed him to control the chakra he possessed," the 8-tailed ox said. "I don't care. Get out of my way," Naruto shouted. "I'm gonna kill that thing. That's almost a suicide. Now calm down and listen to me. That thing killed my family and friends. I can't calm down. Now get out of my way. The brat has never heard what I have said before. I say let him die." The 9-tailed fox mocked. "Naruto, listen to me, there's a way to fix things," the 8-tailed ox said. "Don't you want to be with your family and friends again?" "Of course I do. But they're dead, and the only way is for me to join them. They're waiting for me." "Death is not the only way. We know a way to undo it done," said the 8-tailed ox. Naruto looked at the spirits and asked how. "We will use our spiritual energy and send you to the past. Unfortunately, we can only send your soul, not your body. Once your soul is gone, your body will die. But that's useless. What can my soul do without my body?" he asked. "You will need to search for your past self and merge your soul with that of the past. What happens when I do that? It is likely that your soul overrides the previous one, since yours dominates more in will and strength, but that is uncertain. There are many things that we do not know. Do you want to do this or die fighting a losing battle? Naruto thought, if I return, I can change the events leading to this future. And I can be with my wives again, but this is a big risk. After a moment, Naruto said, I will do this and bring a better future, but why are you doing this? And what happens to you when you use your spiritual energy? Although some of us are evil, we do not wish to destroy all of humanity. It is humans who have sealed us against our will, which leads us to hate them. We do not want this future, so we ask you to change it. Once we use the energy we have left, we will cease to exist. Upon hearing this, Naruto said, it's okay. He started walking back towards his dead wives. What are you doing? The two-tailed cat asked. Once my soul leaves this body, it will die. I want to die with my wives by my side. I promised him. He laid down next to Yugao's body, before saying then let's get started. The 9 spirits gathered around him, and a bright light began to shine, scattering the clouds and stopping raining. Naruto closed his eyes, took Yugao's hand, and felt the pain in his body slowly leaving him. Once the pain disappeared, he opened his eyes and saw his body on the ground as he ascended towards the hole in the sky. As he entered the hole, one by one, the spirits began to fade, and he knew that they would finally rest in peace. 11 years ago in the past, the forest of Konoha Naruto, 12 to 13 years old, hides with a scroll. He walked giant on his back, while his master Iruka defends him from the traitor Mizuki. A hole appeared in one of the trees out of nowhere, and a 24-year-old Naruto came out of it. The future Naruto looked around, and found his younger self hiding behind a tree, listening to the conversation of the two Chunin. Young Naruto burst into tears upon hearing about his sensei's confirmation. As Mizuki lunges to deal the final blow, Naruto of the future watches as the young Naruto kicks Mizuki away. Naruto of the future takes advantage of this opportunity and merges with the young Naruto. Naruto then looks at Mizuki with hatred and shouts, "Don't touch Iruka-sensei. I'm gonna kill you." Putting his fingers together in the shape of a cross, releasing a large amount of murderous intent. Author's note: I now know that Naruto was supposed to die when the 9 tails were removed. The reason why he is still alive will be explained later. I'll start using shorter names or nicknames for the wives in later chapters, now that they're all introduced. Next chapter, 2 seals and a plan. Tajuka Jeben Sin no Justu. Naruto shouted, and 1,000 clones appeared surrounding the two Chu. As Mizuki watched in fear, he didn't have time to react before he was slammed to the ground with his face like a pile of dung. As blood ran down his mouth and nose. Iruka soon gave Naruto his own forehead protector, symbolizing that Naruto passed through the ninja academy. Naruto's bedroom. As Naruto sighed, he thought, this brings back memories. She opened the closet and found about 10 pairs of the same orange suit she was wearing. He thought, wow, what bad taste I had then, huh? Immediately, a voice was heard. Hey, who the hell do you think you are? Entering my body and taking control, just as I was about to kick Mizuki's ass. And for your information, that's the latest trend. What the hell? Naruto thought. Hey, who's there? I'll just kick your ass, he said as he looked around the house. Idiot, I'm in your head. And this is my body that you control, give it back to me. Oh, Kami. So that's what happened. My soul must have pushed my young soul to the depths of my mind. But I'm in total control. That probably means my strongest soul is in charge, but at least my young soul still exists. Hey, retard, I can hear you thinking that you already know. It doesn't matter who the hell you are. I am your future self. I came from the future to the past so that I could change the future and prevent the dark future that I have experienced. Whatever, give me back my body. I can't do it, and I don't think it's possible. Looks like we'll be stuck like this forever. QQQ, isn't this interesting? An evil voice appeared. Kumi, I almost forgot about you. Wait, I'm coming in to see you. Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated on his mind. Inside Naruto's mind. As Naruto was walking towards the locked Kyuubi's door, he felt a powerful force pushing him against the wall. As he got up to see that he had hit him, he saw a younger version of himself smiling at him. Not bad at all, said the young Naruto, walking around and watching him. Could you stop? It's driving me crazy. Even though he said it, he had a big smile on his face. Of course I look good. How else would you please 7 wives? So this is how I will see myself in the future. Oh my god. Sakura-chan will be happy, he said, smiling to himself. Oh, you have no idea, kid. I really don't. She thought as she looked at him. Yes, the body on the outside should look like mine if it has been well trained, and I will make sure of it. So, are you going to tell me what happened in the future or not? The boy asked. Yes, I would like to know too. And how did you manage to do such a feat? Said a roguish voice. Both Naruto looked around and saw a pair of glowing red eyes behind a door. Young Naruto asked, so you're the Kyuubi? Yes, this is the Kyuubi, the strongest of the current 9-tailed beasts, Naruto replied. What do you mean by the strongest of the current 9-tailed beasts? I am and always will be the strongest beast, snarled the fox. Naruto sighed and told them about the future and the events leading up to that dark future. After finishing, the young Naruto said, What the hell? Did you become a womanizer? Shut up. I'm not a womanizer. I only have 7 wives and I am the only ones I sleep with. He punched the boy in the head while he was screaming. And that's all you have to say after hearing about the chaos and destruction. With a face red with annoyance. With 7 girls, there is no difference, murmured the boy, rubbing his head. Naruto, ignoring the boy, turned to the fox. I came here to ask for your help. As you can see, there is a big crisis happening even as we speak. The fox thought a lot for a moment before answering, Yes, I guess I'll help you. Not that I have a choice considering the threat that's been made. Neighbor, especially because if the Kyuubi is going to return, said the fox calmly and continued, What do you need help with? Naruto looked at the fox suspiciously before answering. Thank you, over the years, I realized the importance of stamps. And in doing so I have learned and created stamps that will be useful to me. One of the seals allows me to take your chakra without your influence. Which means that I no longer have to fear that you will dominate me when I use your chakra. The name of the stamp is the commensalist stamp. Why did you ask my permission, instead of just applying the stamp in the first case? Asked the fox. The stamp requires the permission of the host before being applied. In this case, you are the host. Although there is another seal that performs the same function, but does not require the permission of the host, called a parasite seal. The only disadvantage is that it damages the host over time. Are you threatening me? Snarled the fox. No, I'm not threatening you. I just want us to understand each other, not to mention that fact that you just talked about, Naruto said with his eyes closed. I see. Very well, then you can make the stamp. Naruto nodded and performed the seal, creating a liquid bubble that enveloped the fox completely. Before transforming into a fox and joining the host, the seal is complete and will activate when I want to use your chakra. The fox nodded before saying, Now go away. I need to rest. Naruto nodded and, grabbing the young Naruto, left the fox sleeping. After getting away from the beast, Naruto warned the boy to never talk to the fox alone or approach him, and to never remove the seal from the door that was holding him, as it would kill them both. The boy nodded before asking, And what shall we be called? Naruto replied, I will be Naruto, and you will be Inner Naruto, or in for short. Right after he said he had a revelation. Oh, Kami. I became a Sachin. While he was thinking this, his mind got distracted. Looking back on the future, Sakura curled up next to him, fast asleep, after a night of passionate love. Naruto was about to fall asleep when he heard Sakura laughing and saying things in her sleep. Oh, Naruamo, you're so naughty. Hehe. I wonder what kind of dream Sachin is having, he said as he watched his wife laughing in her sleep. Suddenly, with an evil smile, he had an idea. And Chan taught me the mental techniques of the Yamanaka clan. I think I might try them here. His two hands formed the appropriate signal, looking at his sleeping wife before saying, as he lay back with his eyes closed. Inside Sakura's mind. Naruto walked around until he found the dream that Sakura was having. His eyes widened in surprise, seeing Sakura dressed in a very romantic doctor's uniform. His hand on Naruto's heart from the dream, while Naruto from the dream had his on his butt. Oh my god! So Sachin likes something like that. I'm definitely going to try it with her in real life one day, he thought as he watched the dream. Suddenly, someone knocked him to the ground. He looked at the person who did it and realized it was Sakura. Sachin, he said confused. I'm not your Sachin. Well, not really. I am her inner self, or you could call me inner Sakura, she said while licking her lips and feeling her well-toned body. Naruto lowered his gaze as he felt the caresses of inner Sakura. Oh, I'm naked. He put his hand to his face and thought, well, no, of course I'm naked. I transferred naked after making love. He looked at inner Sakura with a predatory smile and knew what would happen next. To think that my wife's inner mind would enrapture me. Who knew? Since that day, he learned of the existence of inner Sakura and swore that he would never use the Shintensen no Jutsu on Sakura again. Never again, because inner Sakura was too scary. Not to mention the fact that I just didn't know when to stop. End of the flashback. Why are they calling me in? Why can't it be me, Naruto, and your Naruto router? The child complained. Recovering from the screams of the young Naruto, he replied. Because everyone outside will call me Naruto, stupid, Naruto said in an annoyed voice. Besides, you're in the back of my mind, and on. It sounds really bad, Naruto thought. In Naruto's bedroom. What am I going to do now? He took out paper and pen to write down his schedule for the week and the type of training he was going to do. This body is shit, she asked after taking off her clothes to go to sleep. What the hell did you do to her? Shut up, it's your body now, so accept it, I'm going to bed now. Souls even sleep, Naruto thought to himself, moaning as he looked at himself. It will take me a while before I can bring this body to life, he thought as he went to bed. Author's note on the manga. When Naruto defeated Mizuki, it is said that the jutsu. It's just a Kagebusen, but it didn't make sense to me, since 1,000 clones were created, so I changed it to Taju. For anyone asking, why didn't Naruto use the parasite seal on the Jubi? The answer is simple, the Jubi is too strong. The parasitic seal would break on contact. Next, Chapter 3. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto woke up at 6 a.m. the next day, got dressed after washing, and took a look at the plans he wrote last night. The plan includes performing all kinds of physical exercises to get your body back in shape, which ranges from doing 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups to running 50 kilometers every day. There are also plans to increase chakra control, as now that the Kyuubi has returned, his chakra control has failed again. I needed to get it back so I could perform the jutsus I could perform when it was still in the future. He then created 4 shadow clones that immediately got to work. A shadow clone came down the stairs to prepare breakfast and lunch that would be eaten later at noon. 3 clones went out and entered deep into the forest that has a lake next to it. 1 clone started doing tree walking exercises, and another clone started doing water walking exercises. The last clone began to redo the Rasengan exercises from the bottom up. Meanwhile, Naruto himself began to do stretching and exercises. Light, since shadow clones performing physical exercises will not benefit their body. About an hour and a half later, the CC cook clone called Naruto for breakfast. After eating breakfast, Naruto instructed CC on what to do next, and then he went out and started to run 50 kilometers. Then CC went to the academy to take a picture for his ninja profile. After that, CC visited the Okage to give him his ninja profile. The Okage handed it to his assistant, who got up, and he left the room. CC, seeing that he was alone with the Okage, Ojiri spoke, There is something I must inform you, and it is top secret. Could you seal this room to avoid eavesdropping and interference?" In an absolutely serious tone. Seeing how serious the boy was, Irisina felt and pressed several buttons. Immediately several seals appeared covering the doors, walls, and windows. "You can talk, everything you say will be in absolute secrecy," said the Hokage. "I'm not the Naruto you know. You will no longer see the Naruto you know." Irisin was completely confused and asked, "What do you mean?" "My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. I came from the future to the past, which is now the present, to avoid the future that I have experienced. Upon arrival, I merged with my younger self and took control of my younger body." After hearing this, a surprised and shocked Irisin said, "This is hard to believe, but the name Namikaze is top secret. If you have taken the name, then what you say must be the truth." Checha felt as she began to tell the Hokage about the future and the events that led to it. He told her how Irisin would die and many other things, except about Naruto's future family. "So Yukiya Madara is still alive. I would have never imagined it. And then there's Orochimaru. I should have killed him when I had the chance," he said, covering his face with his palm. "I never imagined that I would invade Konoha." Sighing a little more before finally saying, "Upon learning of my future death, he could not continue." There was a moment of silence before Cici spoke. "Don't worry, Oji, I won't let you die again. This time we have the advantage due to the knowledge of the future." "Future?" Irisin looked at the boy. Seeing a reassuring smile, she pulled out a crib and quickly grabbed him from behind, pointing at his neck. "You're not strong enough to say something like that," Cici responded by saying, "I'm sorry, Oji, for lying earlier. But I'm not the real Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, I'm just a shadow clone." Hearing this, Irisin released the child and said, "Shadow clone, where is your true self?" "My boss is currently in training to get used to the new body. Tell your boss I want to test his strength, once I know what so strong is it, then we can plan for the future." Cici nodded and said, "Okay, but my boss will need 3 days of preparation. In 3 days, he will meet you in the woods by the lake at 8 a.m. Irisina felt in agreement before pressing some buttons to release the seals of the room. After the seals were removed and Cici was about to leave, Konohamaru stormed in and attacked the Hokage. The clone, realizing who it was, smiled, hit Konohamaru on the head, and left the room. The young man, with an expression of surprise, chased the clone. It was then that Konohamaru considered Naruto a mentor, friend, and rival. He learned the true meaning of being an Hokage and the right path to follow. Finally, he learned the terrible fate Suksino that will bring his grandfather and his sense and a lot of pains. Head or even the loss of blood. Deep in the forest. After running 50 kilometers, Naruto went deep into the forest and started doing face-down crunches with his legs holding onto a tree branch. As he was doing the sit-ups, a sudden rush of information came flooding into his head, and he knew that Cici must have scattered. "So I have 3 days to prepare for a test against the old man himself, huh?" he said with a smile. "This is going to be fun. Can't wait to see the old man's face when he wears Miss Justu. I laugh covertly at the thought. And then she's with Omuru. Alas, what nostalgia," he said before continuing with more sit-ups. The next day, Naruto's house. Naruto woke up at 6 in the morning and, after washing himself, did the same thing that he created 4 shadow clones yesterday. These were put to work while Naruto was stretching. Once Naruto finished his breakfast, he again gave instructions to Cici before heading out for a jog. 30cc arrived at the academy and made his way to the last row before sitting down in a chair. Gradually, other students began to arrive. Some, noticing Cici, approached him and asked why he was there. Cici replied by pointing to his forehead and told him that he had approved the academy. Once everyone had settled in, Iruka entered the room with a notebook and started announcing the locations of the teams. When it was Team 7's turn, Cici noticed that Sakura was moaning when her name and Naruto's appeared. but changed to enthusiasm when she also appeared. The name of Sasuke. After the break, CC along with Sasuke and Sakura sat down to wait for Kakashi to appear. Kakashi asked them to introduce themselves and share their dreams. CC spoke. "First, I want to be the Hokage, and that everyone in the village recognizes me," he said enthusiastically. After that, Sasuke said that he wanted to get his clan back and kill someone. Although Sakura was watching him with admiration, both Kakashi and CC knew who he was referring to. Then Sakura mumbled something about someone she likes and under pressure shouted that she hates Naruto. CC ignored her and Kakashi felt bored. After they were all submitted, Kakashi told them that there would be an exam tomorrow, and if they failed, they would be sent back to the academy. In a building not far from where the four of them were sitting arguing. A purple-haired ninja, wearing an animal mask with 3 red markings, was hiding watching a certain boy. "To want to be an Hokage, huh?" he thought as he smiled. She had started taking care of the blonde boy 5 years ago, since the former Ambo had taken care of him. He retired due to old age. Flashback to 5 years ago. The Hokage called her one day and asked if she wanted to take care of the child and protect him from any danger. She was only 17 years old at that time, and hearing this, she asked, "Why are you asking me? Aren't there others much stronger and more axe than me?" The Hokage looked at her with sad eyes and shook his head answering, "The others hated the boy. They would rather ignore him than protect him." She felt really bad for the boy after hearing this. He knew he had the QB in him, but he never hid it. In fact, he was one of the few people who had taken the 4th Hokage's last wish seriously. "I wanted someone who really cared about the child to take care of him. I don't want to force someone to take care of him if he hated him. That would bring a lot of problems," the Hokage said. "I couldn't believe that so many people hated the guy for something he never did." He looked at the Hokage and said, "It's okay, I'll take care of him and protect him from any danger." The Hokage smiled, took out a uniform with an animal mask and handed it to him. "I knew I could count on you." Then, he straightened up and, with a serious look, said, "Yuzuki Yugao, from now on, you will be part of Ambu. And your mission is to watch over Uzumaki Naruto and protect him until he graduates from the Ninja Academy. Is that clear?" "Yes, Okage-sama," he replied after taking the uniform and mask. End of the flashback. Congratulations, Naruto. "And good luck," she said in her head, as tears streamed down her eyes. "I'm leaving him under your care now, Kakashi," he said as he disappeared into the village. The forest of Konoha. Naruto was doing his push-ups when he realized what happened at the academy. Wow, how problematic is this? He sat up and rubbed his head. "Tomorrow I have the bell exam, and the day after, tomorrow is the exam with the old man. Well, I'd better get back to work." While I was resuming the push-ups. "Sakura-chan. Sakura-chan. Why is that? Why is that?" he screamed. And some might wonder why Yugao didn't stop Naruto from stealing the Forbidden Scroll or protect it from Mizuki. The answer is Yugao's mission is to take care of Naruto and prevent anything from happening to him. It's not your mission to stop him from stealing the scroll. As for protecting him from Mizuki, if you read chapter 1 of the original manga, Iruka had already found Naruto before Mizuki. So he didn't have to do anything unless the situation got worse. The kiss scene between Naruto and Sasuke never happened, as CC sat far away from him. The scene at the bank with the fake Sasuke and Sakura didn't happen either. Next, chapter 4. Test and more tests. The day of the Kakashi test. Naruto woke up the next day, went to wash up, and went into the kitchen to prepare breakfast. After breakfast, he went to change and put on the new clothes that CC had bought the day before. Then he went for a jog to warm up his body for the next test. 30 Team Training Area 7. Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Aruno were waiting for Kakashi and Naruto to appear. "What's taking them so long?" Sakura asked. "They don't know that it's rude to be late," he said with an angry face. "Shut up. God, you're annoying," Sasuke snapped. Sakura felt dejected by Sasuke's words and the tone of his voice. She sat down and wondered what the test would be about. Half an hour later, just when Sakura couldn't take it anymore, suddenly and I was heard. She looked up and saw that Naruto and Kakashi seemed to have arrived at the same time. He sighed. It seems that Kakashi arrived as late as always. Good thing I remembered and did a little more exercise, Naruto thought. Mum. The brat was as late as I was. That wasn't in the infime. Kakashi wondered. Then Sakura shouted, "You were late." But Naruto and Kakashi just shrugged it off and downplayed it, annoying both Sasuke and Sakura. Then Sakura, for the first time in her life, noticed that there was something different about Naruto. The first thing she noticed was that his outfit was not the orange jacket with blue stripes on the shoulders, nor was he wearing his orange pants. Instead, Naruto was wearing a sky blue jacket with white swirls on each shoulder and a dark blue swirl on the back. Under the open jacket, he was wearing a white t-shirt with another swirl, but this time orange. He was also wearing long black pants with 2 orange stripes on each side. His waistband consisted of a black belt containing a black bag for weapons and other tools. The second thing he noticed was that Naruto seemed much more mature than usual and that he emitted a very calm and relaxing aura. Is that Naruto? He thought. It seems so different. Kakashi looked at the three of them, set a stopwatch, and started telling her about the test. The goal of the test is that the three of them will have to remove the bells by any means possible, and they have until noon to try. Anyone who does not have a bell will not receive lunch and will be sent back to the academy. After hearing about not being able to have lunch, Sakura and Sasuke groaned, as they were told in advance not to have breakfast or they might throw up. Hearing this, Naruto let out a giggle. "What's funny to you, Naruto?" Kakashi asked as he noticed the giggle. "Huh. Nothing. I'm just glad I had breakfast this morning," she said, smiling. "Why did you have breakfast when I warned you not to?" A curious Kakashi asked. "Well, who in their right mind would believe a silly thing about throwing up? We are shinobi, and shinobi are expected to do a lot of uncomfortable things. Besides, if we don't eat, how are we going to do missions without energy?" he said with a mocking smile. After hearing Naruto talking, Sasuke and Sakura looked away from Naruto with an embarrassed blush on her cheeks. The boy is not as dumb as they say, Kakashi thought. Well, the test is about to start. Hearing the order to start, the three genin disappeared into the bushes. Kakashi took out his book from Ichika Paradise and started reading it. "I'm looking forward to knowing what happens next," she thought with a perverted look. Naruto used his increased speed thanks to his physical exercises and concentrated chakra in his legs, which allowed him to go further and faster into the forest than the other two. Once out of sight, he created 3 shadow clones, and they took off in different directions. A decoy shadow clone went straight towards Kakashi shouting, "Fight with me." A scout clone took advantage of the decoy distraction to climb the tallest tree and stay hidden while guarding the battlefield. The last clone climbed closer, but still hidden in the bushes. After a while of teasing Decoy and teasing him, Kakashi dropped a bell on purpose, and Decoy went to get it only to end up in a trap, with a rope tied to his legs and hanging upside down. Sasuke then took advantage of this opportunity and released Shuriken, Shikuna, and Sekakashi, but only to end up in a trap that revealed his location. Sakura, fearing that Sasuke was injured, started looking for him, only to end up in a genjutsu and fainted when she saw Sasuke dying. Sasuke, knowing that he had nowhere to hide, decided to directly challenge Kakashi. He started throwing yurikens and forced Kakashi into a trap with a shower of throwing knives. Kakashi dodged them, but Sasuke started attacking with his clan's taijutsu. Sasuke threw a kick at Kakashi, which was blocked, and with the other hand, Kakashi grabbed her leg. Sasuke tried to punch Kakashi in the head, but Kakashi grabbed his free hand. Quickly, Sasuke threw a Chilean towards Kakashi's head, which was blocked. While lying face down, Sasuke noticed the bells and, with his free hand, tried to reach them. Kakashi, noticing it, threw it several meters away. Kakashi then admitted that Sasuke was undoubtedly better than Naruto and Sakura. But before he could finish speaking, Sasuke started a series of hand seals and shouted Katen Hukaki 1. Jutsu. After the smoke cleared, all that was left was a crater on the ground, and Kakashi was nowhere to be found. While Asuke was looking for Kakashi, two hands emerged from the ground and grabbed his legs. Before he knew it, his entire body was buried, except for his head. Then Kakashi started looking for Deko, and when he found out that Deko and managed to escape from his trap, Sakura woke up and started looking for Sasuke again. Then he literally bumped into Sasuke's head. Upon seeing his decapitated head, he fainted again with foam coming out of his mouth, much to Sasuke's chagrin. Scout, noticing that Sasuke and Sakura were now incapacitated, dispersed, signaling to Naruto that it was now safe to act. Kakashi found Decoy by the monument and decided to sneak up on him, but Decoy scattered. Kakashi, surprised, looked around until a familiar voice appeared behind him. "Hey, Kakashi-sensei, that book you're reading. It's the new novel, isn't it? How many chapters have you read already?" Naruto asked with a smile. Kakashi turned around and thought Kagebansen. That's how he beat Mizuki, playing with Naruto, since he didn't see Naruto as a threat, he said while fighting with you guys. "I just finished chapter 4. Naruto smiled smugly and said seriously, "Did you know that in chapter 5, Tazuma finally had the courage to ask Tachizune out?" Then, later in chapter 7, Tazuma slowly opened Tachizune's legs, and, to his utter horror, Kakashi shouted no. "No. No. There are no spoilers." He interrupted Naruto, and put both hands to his ears, blocking out all sounds, and as he bent down, he looked at Naruto smiling. Then, Naruto signaled Clone to come out of the bush he was hiding in. Clone then made a seal with his hand, and shouted "Sexy not fair," before she became a beautiful girl in loving clothes. Then Naruto and Clone started acting out scenes from the novel. To his complete horror, Kakashi, having no other choice, slammed his eyes shut and shouted no. "No. No. I said no spoilers, please." Before screaming, like a little girl. Clone undid the "Sexy not fair," walked up to Kakashi, who was still screaming, and grabbed the two bells. He threw them at a smiling Naruto, who caught them before scattering. Sasuke, freed from the ground, finally managed to wake Sakura up. When they heard a deafening scream, they ran towards her. Kakashi finally opened his eyes slowly to check if it was safe, and saw a smiling Naruto waving the two bells. Then he looked at his waist and knew that Naruto had the real ones, and sighed. He stood up just as Sasuke and Sakura appeared. Sakura, surprised, said Naruto. Naruto?" as he watched the bells fluttering around his fingers. Sasuke, in complete silence and disbelief, thought, No. You don't even know. Did the loser get those bells?" He looked at Kakashi, who nodded and thought impossible. How did he do what I couldn't? I'm supposed to be the best." Kakashi then said, "Naruto, who are you going to give one of the bells to?" "While I was thinking, Naruto, that you and your team passed this test, now it's in your hands. Think wisely." Sasuke and Sakura looked at each other, then the bells, and finally Naruto. While watching Naruto, Sasuke thought, "I can't believe that my future is being decided by the loser. I can't go back to the academy. I can't. I have to stay a Genin and move up until I can kill him." Sasuke was about to speak when Naruto said, "I'm not going to give them a bell," surprising Sasuke and Sakura before continuing, "And I don't want this bell either," as he threw both bells at Kakashi, who caught them, further surprising the two Genis. "Why is that?" "Explain your reason," Kakashi asked. "Because the most important thing is not the bells. The most important thing is teamwork, and anyone who abandons his friends is less." "What a load of crap." "No. They are shit, or even worse than shit," Naruto said, wanting to kill, but realizing what was happening, he asked truth. As he turned to Sakura and Sasuke, concentrating more on Sasuke. They both nodded in shock without even realizing it. Kakashi saw the nod and said with a smile, "Naruto is right. He who abandons his friends is less than trash." He took a deep breath before continuing. "Congratulations. Everyone approved, and from now on this team is called Team 7. We will start with our tasks tomorrow at noon. So get some rest, and I'll see you all three tomorrow. As he walked away with the Shunsin, Naruto then noticed that it was noon, said goodbye to the two Jennings, and left for lunch. Sakura thought, wow, I never would have imagined that it would be Naruto who got, I would say, the bells. I thought it would be Sesu-kun. She looked at him. Yes, but you have to admit it. Naruto was incredibly cool, and his way of talking about teamwork was very sweet, said inner Sakura. Sakura nodded with a little blush, and then, realizing it, she ignored him and said in her mind, I like Sesu-kun. As I was starting to talk to him. Before she could even open her mouth, he walked away ignoring her, while she was thinking. It must have been a coincidence, yes, a coincidence, because no one is better than me. Sakura sighed, and then proceeded to go home. Office of the Okage. Kakashi delivered the Team 7 profile, and said he believes Team 7 has great potential. The Okage nodded and asked, so did they really manage to get the bells out of you? With a surprised look. Well, not really them, so to speak. Naruto was the one who got the bells. And I'm still completely confused about how, he said, a little blushing, but it was good that he was wearing a mask. I see. You can go now, replied the Okage. Yes. Okage-sama, he said as he left the room. I am looking forward to the exam tomorrow. The Okage smiled as he looked out the window. Ramen Ichiraku. Naruto was now eating his third bowl of ramen when he remembered how Kakashi screamed like a little girl and laughed. Kakashi didn't even know he hit him. Naruto laughed. Flashback scene in the city yesterday. Cease walked towards the city and started heading to a certain store after the meeting with Kakashi and Team 7. Cici stopped in front of an adult store and said in Gino Justu, transforming into Kakashi before entering. Kakashi-san, my favorite client. How can I help you today? Didn't you buy the new Ichika Paradise a couple of days ago? The store owner asked with a smile. Yes, that's the reason I'm here, Cici said. Huh? Said the confused owner. You see, it looks like I lost the book and I can't find it. So I decided to buy a new one. Would you mind taking him to me? Cici said. Of course, no problem, anything for my favorite customer, the owner said with a smile as he went to get the book. A couple of minutes later, the man returned with a new book and said, here it is. Kakashi-san. Thank you, Cici said with a smile. After paying for the book, he said goodbye to the owner and left the store. Smiling, he went to buy new clothes and weapons while looking at the book and still pretended to be Kakashi. Flashback ending. After finishing his fourth bowl of ramen, Naruto went to the forest to train. A little more. He again created 4 shadow clones, and they got to work. The only difference is that now 2 clones are engaged in nature manipulation instead of tree walking, since this is no longer necessary. The water walk and the Rasengan are still practiced. Naruto started doing his daily workouts, as tomorrow will probably be a difficult day. The next day, the Konoha forest by the lake. Irasen Sarutobi was standing near the lake in his expected battle suit. That someone would show up. Hello? Oji, how are you? Naruto said walking towards the window. I think this is the first time we have met. There are many questions I would like to ask you. First of all, how old are you mentally? I'm 24 years old. But now is not the time. How about we talk later in a much safer place? Naruto said. Irasen looked at the boy and saw that he was no longer wearing the orange jacket and trousers. Instead, he was wearing a sky blue jacket with black pants. Swirls can be seen on the jacket, while the pants have orange stripes. He also carries a sword strapped to his back. All right, let's get started, he asked as he took a stand. Naruto smiled and said, I guess I'll start next to his fingers, and shouted Kajeben Sin no Justo. 4 shadow clones appeared and stood next to Naruto with a smile. One of the shadow clones took a step forward and took a stance. What the hell? Irizen didn't have time to think when the clone shouted "Atch!" and a palm lunge hit Irizen, who flew out. Hey, that's a Yuga clan technique. How and why don't you have the Yakugan? Irizen was completely confused. Ha ha ha. I knew you'd be surprised, he said, rubbing his nose with one finger. Yes, you're right, I don't have the Yakugan, but that doesn't mean I can't learn some of its techniques. You see, I had this theory one day, when I was training with a certain Yuga. I realized that his attacks mainly consist of injecting chakra into someone else's body. Vyakugan allows them to control and damage the parts of the body that they please. Naruto smiled smugly. So I thought what would happen if, even though I don't have the Yakugan, I injected a huge amount of chakra into someone else's body. Irizen Jade said today, the sudden entry of chakra could unbalance the chakra system and cause a lot of damage. That is if the body is not strong enough to withstand it. Depending on the intensity of the chakra input. The higher the chakra, the higher the damage, bingo. With my huge amount of chakra, you can imagine the damage I can cause. The only thing is that I do not know how to inject my chakra into another person's body or chakra system. This still doesn't explain why you know his techniques. Only clan members can learn their techniques. It was getting to that. You see, once I had my theory, I went to one of my wives and asked her to teach me the soft fist style. Your wife? Don't you mean? Irizen asked, raising an eyebrow. Yes, one of my wives is the heiress of the Yuga clan. Her name is Inada Yuga, he said proudly. To complete the technique without the Yakugan, I had to learn about human anatomy and chakra systems. This led me to ask two other wives of mine, who are medical ninjas. One taught me human anatomy, and the other about chakra systems. With that information, I was able to complete my own version of the soft fist, he said with a smile. To mockery. I think he's very smart. I don't think anyone has thought of it or tried to do it, Irizen said, rubbing his chin with one hand. Thank you. Oh. Looks like my clone is going to use the real soft fist. Be careful, old man. Even if it's you, you won't be able to move in a week, Naruto advised. The clone jumped towards Irizen, then with a striking footwork, he moved towards Irizen and shouted Juken. Irizen managed to jump just in time by applying chakra on his legs. Then, Naruto summoned his clone. Juken and sent a different clone this time. I wonder what this clone will do, Irizen thought. While Irizen wonders, the clone starts performing a series of hand seals and shouts F-ton Kazakiri. After which, a leaf of wind flows towards Irizen, in which he counterattacks. With Dotendori here. While an earthen wall rises from the ground, covering Irizen completely, and takes the wind blade. While Irizen jumps off the wall, the clone quickly makes some hand stamps and shouts F-ton Shin and Gyoku. Several small wind bullets rush towards Irizen as he prepares for impact. Then Irizen disappears in a cloud of smoke, revealing that Irizen was just a shadow clone. With a precise rhythm, Irizen runs out of the wall he created and stands behind the shadow clone with a cradle and aiming at his neck. Smiling, Naruto said, as expected of the Okage, "It's still as fast as ever." Smiling, Irizen asked, "So, this is a wind user?" "Yes, my main element is the wind," Naruto said. "At first I didn't know many wind releases, but another wife of mine started teaching. Some from his native village." Another wife. How many will this kid have? Irizen thought. After Irizen removed the kunai, the wind clone returned to Naruto's side, and a third clone approached Irizen smiling. Unhurriedly, the clone began to perform hand seals, and in a short time shouted Suten Suiriden no Jutsu. A water dragon emerged from the lake and started attacking Irizen. While Irizen dodged the dragon, he was also making hand seals before shouting Suten Suiriden no Jutsu. A second water dragon emerged from the lake and collided with the first one, causing a rain around it. So, this clone uses water. How many elements can you use? Irizen asked. I can use 3 wind, water and lightning, but I know very little about lightning, so I don't usually use it. It could be said that I had no choice but to learn how to use water, because another wife found out that my wife, who uses wind, was teaching me how to use wind, so she forced me to learn how to use water with her, since she uses water. She smiled, hugging the back of her neck. She gets jealous very easily. Ha ha ha. He laughed. Irisina felt, and the water clone returned with Naruto. The last clone came out, and this time he drew the sword from his back. Before the clone attacked, Naruto said, "I don't usually use the sword, since using wind swords is much more efficient and effective. But a very intelligent wife of mine taught me that just in case I run out of chakra, the sword could save my life." After Naruto finished speaking, the clone was about to attack when Irizan extended a hand and asked, "Stop for a second. How many handcuffs do you have?" Irizan asked. "Huh." Naruto replied, surprised, before coming to. "Oh, I have 7 wives." Ha ha ha, Naruto laughed, his face flushing. But at the words, 7 handcuffs, Irizan fell face down to the floor unconscious, after closer inspection. Blood can be seen dripping from his nose. Naruto looked at the unconscious Hokage, and then said, "I guess this means I passed the test, huh?" Author's note: sorry about the fight between Sasuke and Kakashi. Yes, the fight is identical to the one in the manga. The reason I kept it was because it emphasizes Naruto's strategy and plan. Chapter 5, Revelations. The Office of the Hokage after the test. The Hokage is now sitting behind his desk, watching a smiling Naruto. The seals are up again, to prevent anyone from finding out about the conversation. "So, what do you think?" Naruto asked. "Well, now I know that you definitely don't belong to Team 7. Your abilities are superior to Chunon's, maybe even equal to Honen's. Mum, maybe I should put you on another team that requires your level. After all, I chose Kakashi to take care of you so I could keep the Ninetales under control, but it seems you don't need his help anymore," the Hokage said. Hearing this, Naruto shook his head and replied, "Yes, my current level is definitely higher than a Chunin, but I'm still not at the level of a honey like Kakashi. This is due to my underdeveloped body and my lack of chakra control." Naruto continued, "As I told you before, I can use 3 elements. But the problem right now is that the use of elements is quite new for this inexperienced body. My mind knows how it works and how to use it, but my body does not respond, since it has never manipulated nature before. I still need more practice with this body. That's also why my shadow clones can only use 1 or 2 just elementals before I have to call them back, as they are consuming chakra from their lack of control. As for the team change, I'd rather you didn't do it now because then I'll be able to keep an eye on Sasuke and Sakura." The Hokage was thinking about what Naruto said and then nodded. "Okay, I respect your wishes. Now I still have some questions for you that I would like to know," said the Hokage. "Shoot," Naruto said, smiling. "First of all, where is the Naruto I know? Did he disappear? Did it fade away or did you consume it? If he's still here, how is he?" asked the Hokage. "No. The Naruto you know is still here. Apparently, when my soul merged with the body, it pushed the younger Naruto to the back of my mind. He and I can communicate, although sometimes the brat drives me crazy," said an annoyed Naruto. "Hey, who's the brat? Bastard!" he screamed. The Hokage chuckled and said, Well, now to my second question. Who are your wives that you are talking about?" "Well, you know Imada Yuga from the Yuga clan. Then there are Anko Mitarashi, Inoue Manaka, Sakura Aruno, Kirigakure's Mitorumi, Sunagakure's Tamari, and finally, Yugao Yuzuki," Naruto said with a huge smile on his face. Upon hearing Yugao's name, the Hokage burst out laughing. Then he looked at Naruto and said, "Yugao Yuzuki. Really? Ha 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 ha. Does the red thread of fate really exist?" Before laughing again, Naruto felt. He felt extremely upset and thought, what the hell is so funny? The old man had dinner again. The Hokage finally stopped laughing after a minute or so and asked, "What do you think our next course of action should be?" "Well," Naruto said while thinking, "I think I should. We could try to get in touch with Hiroshinen and Bakken and call them back as soon as we can." Naruto looked at the confused-looking Hokage and then quickly said, Hiroshinen is Jiraiya, while Bakken is Tsunade. Ah, I see. Do they really let you call them that? Irizen asked surprised. Not really, but I do it anyway, which bothers them a lot, he said laughing, and the Hokage joined him. But right now, we need to send people to monitor Akatsuki's movements, Naruto said with a serious tone. After the Hokage nodded, Naruto said, now that the plan is over with Naruto. He extended a hand to the Hokage and said, give me money. The Hokage looked at Naruto with a raised eyebrow and asked him the reason. To live, besides, I will try to get my wives back, and they need a good place to live. And I'm not going to wait until I'm old enough to receive my inheritance to go after them. I can't take another second without my handcuffs by my side, Naruto said earnestly. I can't just give you money. You're a shinobi now. You have to earn money by completing missions. The Hokage shouted, and then sighed. What do you think about this? If you manage to capture or kill rogue ninjas, the rewards will be yours. All right, now let's move on to the next topic. He paused and then shouted, stop spying on me from that orb of yours. You don't have to take care of me anymore. The Hokage was stunned and nodded quickly. Soon noon came. Naruto said goodbye to the Hokage and left to join Team 7 in their tasks. A week later, after a week of performing D-rank missions, the Hokage called Team 7 to give them a new mission. This mission is a C-rank mission. Your job is to protect a person, in other words, a protection mission, said the Hokage. Who is the person we are protecting, Hokage-sama? Sakura asked. I'm about to introduce him. Come in, said the Hokage looking towards the door. An old man holding a serving bottle enters the room, takes a sip from the bottle, and starts talking badly about the three Genings. We will say goodbye now, Hokage-sama, Kakashi said. When everyone was about to leave, the Hokage shouted Naruto, I would like to talk. To talk to you if you would be so kind. Everyone is free to go. Naruto will join you at the gates later. With that, everyone left the room, leaving Naruto and the Hokage alone. Naruto, is this the mission you talked about? Asked the Hokage. Yes, Oji, this is the mission I talked about, so you will give me the pardon for the people I want to bring back. And allow them to enter the village. I do not know if we can trust the two you mentioned, especially Zabuza, the demon of the hidden mist. He seems too cunning and elusive to be reliable. Especially if you look at his record of killing all 100 students at the academy. I know, but I really want to save Aku. He is a very kind person. He is the one who taught me where real strength and power comes from. It comes from your love for the person you are protecting. It also reminds me of Naruto said with a sad smile. The Hokage looked at Naruto for a moment and muttered something like problematic. Then he started writing on a scroll before handing it to Naruto and said, this scroll will allow the person you bring to enter the village. But he must be brought before me immediately. Naruto smiled and said, thank you, Ojiri, you were always a smart and kind Hokage. Then Naruto left the room to meet with his team and his client, but he could have sworn that the Hokage was smiling behind his back. After a while of traveling, Naruto shouted, no. I have to go. As he ran towards the trees. Can we really trust that brat? Tazuna asked worriedly. Don't worry, Konoha's shinobi are well trained, Kakashi reassured the old man. Naruto, that cow, Sakura murmured. Meanwhile, once out of sight, Naruto created 3 shadow clones, and the 3 of them rushed forward, without attracting the group's attention. 15 minutes later, a sudden flood of information informed Naruto that the demon brothers have been captured, and are now being taken back to Konoha by 2 clones disguised as Ambu. Smiling, Naruto thought payday. While getting back out on the road, facing a group of very annoying people. About 5 minutes into the walk, the group came across a pair of Ambus carrying 2 unconscious shinobi. What's the matter? Kakashi asked. We found these 2 hiding suspiciously along the road. We eliminated them, and now we are informing the Hokage, one of the Zambu replied. Kakashi studied the 2 Zambu, and then the 2 unconscious shinobi, nodded, and called the group to continue. The two Ambu then left them and returned to Konoha, Zabuza's hiding place. "Did you fail?" Kat shouted, pointing at Zabuza. "Do you know how much money I'm going to spend on hiring you?" "Shut the fuck up. I'll do the job. This time I will go personally and kill the builder and his bodyguards." Zabuza replied with intent to kill. Land of Ol. "So this is the land of waves," Sakura said as she looked around. "It's good to be back," Naruto thought. "Well, let's go," Tazuna said as they made their way to the bridge. Naruto felt a background movement and a slight intention to kill. Immediately Al grabbed Sakura by the waist and threw himself to the ground. Nah, Naruto. What are you doing?" Sakura said before being interrupted by Kakashi's shout, "Everyone on board." Sasuke grabbed Tazuna and threw himself to the ground while Kakashi ducked when a flying sword. He swirled towards the group. "Well, this is going to be a pain," Kakashi said as he looked up and saw Zabuza standing on the sword that was now stuck in a tree. "Kakashi-sensei, who is that person?" Sakura asked. "That person is one of the 7 swordsmen of the Hidden Mist. Zabuza Momoki, but now he's a renegade ninja. Everyone stay away because it's very dangerous," Kakashi replied as he started to remove the forehead protector from his left eye. "You're a nuisance too, Kakashi, the Sharingan user, but that doesn't matter because everyone will die," Zabuza said as she jumped over the lake, performed a hand seal and said Hidden Mist, not Juju, and vanished into the mist. Sharingan. Impossible. Only a few in the Uchiha clan possess this ability, Sasuke thought. "Stay with the client," Kakashi shouted. The 3 genin surrounded Tazuna as they searched for Zabuza in the thick fog. Kakashi, sensing Sasuke's fear due to the intense killing intent, reassured his team that he would not allow his friends to die. Naruto smiled and created 2 shadow clones. One went to stand next to Tazuna, and the other went to Sasuke's side. Just as Zabuza appeared in the middle of the group and brandished his broadsword, Naruto grabbed Sakura by the waist again, while the other 2 clones grabbed their respective targets by the shoulder and jumped back away from the path of the sword. Kakashi appeared behind Zabuza and stabbed him in the back, but he burst into water. The 3 genin, Tazuna and the Naruto clones, watched as Kakashi and Zabuza fought with clones. One after another, the clones went firm until the real Zabuza managed to kick the real Kakashi and throw him into the lake. Then, using a kind of righteous, he created a water prison around Kakashi, trapping him inside and unable to move. Zabuza single-handed created another water clone that appeared on Earth and started walking towards the group with the intention of killing. As Kakashi shouted for them to take the customer and run, the Zabuza clone laughed and said that he would enjoy killing the brats. The clone that was next to Sasuke took the opportunity and launched himself into the lake, while you performed them manually. The clone of Zabuza, noticing him, ran towards him, but was stopped by a cradle, and that pointed towards his back. A voice then said, "Hey, leave my brother alone, don't you see he's busy making hand stamps?" With that said, the clone that was next to Tazuna then stabbed Zabuza's clone, and pulled up, cutting the clone in half. While everyone was watching this, they heard a Suten Suiridon no Jutsu scream, coming from the clone that launched into the water earlier. To his surprise, a water dragon emerged from the lake and headed towards Zabuza. With no choice, Zabuza had to take her hand away from the water prison to dodge the approaching dragon. "Nah, Naruto?" It was the only thing Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke said at the same time, in complete shock. "What the hell? How can that brat know this technique? It seems that I underestimated him," Zabuza thought while making hand seals and dodging the water dragon at the same time. "Hey, Kakashi-sensei, hurry up and get this over with already, will you?" shouted the clone near the lake. "Thank you, Naruto, let me handle this now," Kakashi said as he stood up. "Suten Suiridon no Jutsu," Zabuza shouted. A water dragon emerged from the lake and collided with the first one. Then, Kakashi went and confronted Zabuza, who once again started making the hand seals to create the just water dragon. But Kakashi is also making the exact same seals. This angered Zabuza when the two water dragons collided again, causing rain to engulf them. Kakashi managed to impose himself by pretending to read minds with the Sharingan and Genjutsu. Zabuza eventually became paranoid and was attacked for the technique he was about to use, but Kakashi ended up completing it first. Just as Kakashi was about to deliver the final blow, a pair of needles struck Zabuza in the neck, apparently killing him. A masked figure turned out to be a ninja hunter of Kiri, and thanked the group for helping him kill Zabuza. Kakashi examined the body and determined that it was dead. The masked figure then said, "I'll take this body now, if you'll excuse me." A Naruto clone came up to him with a cradle and on his neck, telling him not to move, which made everyone turn their heads towards him. "Naruto, what are you doing?" Sakura shouted at the clone, forgetting that the real Naruto was still hugging her from behind. "This is not the real ninja hunter, he is an imposter, and he is a subordinate of Zabuza," the clone said. Immediately after that, the masked ninja shouted demonic crystal ice mirrors. An ice mirror began to form next to Zabuza's body, and then, to everyone's surprise, a hand came out of the mirror and grabbed Zabuza's body by pulling on it. After that, the mirror melted, and the masked ninja scattered, revealing that it was made of water. "Damn, they got away. I just wanted to capture them, and then try to persuade them to join Konoha," Naruto said in his mind. "Naruto, how did you know he was an imposter?" Kakashi asked, turning to look at the real Naruto. Sakura, noticing it, turned her head and saw Naruto, who smiled. Then she looked down and found that his arms were still around her. Then he said, "Naruto, would you mind letting me go now?" Blushing and getting angry at the same time. "Oops. Sorry, Sakura-chan, I forgot. I'm too busy watching Kakashi-sense and kicking ass, you know," he said, smiling and pretending innocence. Anyway, that masked ninja is an imposter for two reasons. One, didn't try to destroy the body immediately, but was trying to take it somewhere else, which didn't make sense, since hunter ninjas are supposed to destroy the body immediately. 2, the weapons he used were two needles that probably wouldn't kill unless they hit vital organs, which he didn't. But Kakashi-sensei examined the body and determined that he was dead, Sakura said. "Things aren't always what they seem," Sasuke said. "Naruto is right, and if he's right, Zabuza might still be alive. We have to hurry up." Kakashi couldn't finish speaking and fainted. The three genin ran towards Kakashi. Shouting her name, Tazuna decided that they should head to her house and then decide what to do later. Tazuna's house. Upon waking up, Kakashi was scolded by Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter. "Don't worry, I passed out from exhaustion. Excessive by using the Sharingan too much, but I won't be able to move for a week. I think we need explanations now that Kakashi-sensei is awake," Naruto said, looking towards Tazuna. Tazuna worried for a moment, then sighed, and began to tell them about a wealthy shipping magnate who has taken over the entire country's shipping industry, using money and violence. Gato uses the shipping industry to commit illegal acts such as selling drugs and other dangerous items. Since the country is now trying to build a bridge connecting it to the Land of Fire, if it is completed, the cat business will go under. "So that's why he's sending people and ninjas to come after your life," Sakura said. "But if you know that ninjas will come after your life, why did you lie to us and request a C-rank mission instead of a B-rank one?" Kakashi asked. "The country of waves is very impoverished thanks to Gato, so we can't afford the B-rank quest, which is more expensive. I'll understand if you decide to leave now, considering the dangers involved." Naruto looked at Tazuna and Tsunami. They had both become depressed, so he started to say, "Well, there's nothing to do now that we're here anyway. We will continue the mission to protect you, heck, we will even get rid of Gato for you. But under the condition that this mission is upgraded to B-rank. Like I said, we don't have that kind of money," Tazuna said with a sad expression. "Don't worry, once Gato is gone, this country's economy will start flowing again. Not to mention, once the bridge is over, The Land of Fire will want to do business with you. I'm sure Kakashi-sensei can convince the Okage to let your country pay for the mission later. Once the income from this country starts flowing, right, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto said. Kakashi looked at the illuminated face of Tazuna and her daughter, sighed and then nodded. Meanwhile, the boy carrying Zabuza's body started to climb out of an ice mirror and left Zabuza's body on the ground. He then proceeded to use medical tools to remove the needles from Zabuza's neck, only to be stopped by an awakened Zabuza, who then forcefully removed the needles with his hand. You would have died, the masked ninja said. I underestimated Kakashi's Sharingan and his Genin. But I won't do it again. This time, I will win against the Sharingan and kill them all. Zabuza said. You won't be able to move for a week. 1 week. Kakashi, you and your team only have 1 week to live. Zabuza River. Tazuna's house. Now that everything is decided, I think it's time to train them, Kakashi said. I don't think it's time to train Kakashi-sensei, Sakura said. Zabuza and his men could come at any moment. You don't have to worry about Zabuza right now. Since I determined he was dead, that means he must have been in a momentary death situation. People who have been in a situation of momentary death need time to recover, so we still have time. Kakashi replied. No matter how much they train, they will all die, said a little voice. They all turned around and saw a child staring at them. No one can beat Gato. The boy then welcomed his grandfather and returned to his room. What was all that about? Since he called you grandpa, I guess it means he's your grandson, Sakura asked. Tazuna nodded and told them that her grandson's name was Inari. He started telling them the village's past about his stepfather and how he gave the village hope before he was killed by Gato. After his death, Inari and the villagers changed and lost all hope and courage to face Gato and his men. Then Naruto got up and started heading towards the door. Naruto, where are you going? Sakura asked. Well, if we're going to save this town, Gato, and beat Zabuza, we'd better start training right now. I'll show that kid that the real heroes still exist. Naruto said. The others looked at each other, smiled, and followed Naruto into the forest. In the forest. That Kakashi began to explain the chakra, its uses, and the importance of controlling it. Then, he showed the training they were about to perform climbing trees. After finishing, Naruto said Kakashi-sensei, on second thought, I think I'll explore the city some more and do some training. Personal. No, Naruto, chakra control is very important, unless you can climb that tree. Kakashi said, pointing to the tallest tree. Then they will be climbing trees all this week. Then he turned to the other two and said, begin. Sakura managed to climb a very tall tree, and sat waiting on a branch of the tree, while Asuke was having difficulty with the exercise. All right, Sakura, your chakra control is one of the best I've ever seen. Sasuke, you still need to improve it. Where did Naruto go? He said as he looked around. Kakashi-sensei, I'm up here. Naruto said. Everyone looked up and found Naruto standing at the top of the tallest tree that Kakashi had pointed out a few moments ago. Now I can explore the village and train a little. Sakura was impressed that Naruto could climb so high, while Sasuke was furious. Kakashi, on the other hand, was surprised to see Naruto at the top of the tree, but then nodded. Naruto went to the village thinking, I've mastered tree climbing, now I just need to practice a little more on the water. It shouldn't take long, but the Rasengan will need an extra week, and nature manipulation still requires more practice. Since some people have asked who Naruto's wives are, I decided to answer the question again during this chapter. Next, Chapter 6. Offer and Result. Throughout the week, Naruto devoted himself to his own training, while Kakashi worked with Sasuke climbing trees. Sakura was also exempt from climbing trees, but instead she was put on guard following Tazuna. Day 6 of training. Aku should be around here, Naruto thought as he looked around the forest. Seeing Aku, he slowly approached the girl-like boy. "Hi, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, do you have time? I'd like to talk to you. I know who you are and that Zabuza is still alive. Don't worry, I don't want to fight with you, I just wanted to talk," Naruto said, smiling at him. Aku was taken by surprise, but then he nodded and followed Naruto deeper into the forest, where they were sure they were alone. "I'm a Konoha ninja, as you probably already know. I've come with an offer for you and your partner. If they surrender to us now, I guarantee them a home in Konoha. They will be freed from the persecution of real hunting ninjas. I know they are a kind person, and I don't want them to die. If they continue to do what they do, death will be the only way for both of them. Do you want to see your loved one die?" Naruto asked. Aku was silent as he took in everything Naruto was saying. After a while, he replied, "I'll have to talk about it with Zabuza-san. What he decides will be what I choose. Please think it over and try to convince Zabuza the best you can. Gato can't be trusted and will betray you both once we get rid of them." "Why are you doing this?" Aku asked. "Because I've seen someone very much like you die, protecting his most important person, and all he wanted was a place to live. And someone who cared about him," Naruto said with a depressed face. Aku smiled and said, "You are a very kind person. I'll try to convince Zabuza-san. By the way, my name is Aku, and I'm a guy." After that, he walked out of the forest, while Naruto was smiling and hoping for the best. Zabuza's hiding place. "You're too naive, Aku. That kid's lying to you. He's just using your kindness and trust to trap and kill us. Remember what I taught you. You are nothing but a tool for killing." "All shinobi are tools for killing," Zabuza said after learning of the offer. "But Zabuza-san is different. I can see in her eyes that she is telling the truth. Maybe I can help," Aku said when he was interrupted by silence. "I've made my decision. Don't make me repeat it. Is that clear?" Zabuza shouted. Aku simply nodded before Zabuza continued, "Get ready for tomorrow because tomorrow it will all be over. And then we will take care of Gato ourselves," Zabuza said with a wide smile on his face. Dinner time at Tazuna's house. "Why do they train so hard? It doesn't matter how hard they train. They can't beat Gato. All of you will end up dying for no reason, just like him. His death was of no use." Inari cried out with tears on her face at the sight. To the exhausted ninjas, "Shut up. How dare you say that your father's death was worthless? He died to give hope to this people. He died to give you hope. Did he ever give up when he died? No. Until the end he remained full of pride because he died believing in this town and in you. He died to protect you and this people." Naruto shouted to Inari, "If you just want to run away, run, coward. We will not become cowards when we face someone stronger than us. We will fight and fight until our last breath." Naruto glared at him, and Nari then returned to his room full of tears. The next day. "Naruto, are you ready?" Sakura asked. "Yeah, I'll be there in a minute," Naruto said. He then created two shadow clones in the house before going and joining his team and Tazuna. The bridge. When the group arrived, there were dead bodies of bridge builders on the ground and an eerie fog was beginning to form. "They're coming?" Kakashi shouted. A group of Zabuza's clones appeared and surrounded the group, but Sasuke instantly eliminated them with two kunai. Then Zabuza appeared with Aku by her side. "I'm impressed, what do you think, Aku?" Zabuza asked. "Yes, he is very good, very talented," Aku replied. "Well, we don't have much time, so let's get started," Zabuza said as Aku ran forward. "I'll fight him," Sasuke shouted. Aku thought Naruto. Meanwhile, Tazuna's house. The noise of the wood falling to the ground is heard, and when Tsunami went to look, he saw two men carrying swords. entering the house through the hole they made. Tsunami screamed, which alerted Inari, who came running. The two samurai threatened to kill Inari, but Tsunami stopped them, threatening to commit suicide if they hurt her. Tsunami was soon captured, while Inari was shaking with fear and crying. Inari then remembered Naruto and his father's words about courage and fighting to protect him. He then ran outside and shouted at the samurai to let go of his mother, but was saved a few seconds before being cut to pieces by a Naruto clone. Well done, kid. You're finally becoming a man. Thanks to your distraction, I managed to get your mom away from them, a smiling clone said. Naruto? Did I think it was with the group to the bridge? Inari asked. I did, but then I created clones using ninja arts so that they would stay in the house in case something like that happened. The Naruto clone replied. Now sit down and let us handle it. Well. If he's not the loser ninja, did you come back only to be sent to hell? Said one of the samurai. No, not really. I'm just here to do this to you. Said a second clone that appeared behind his back, double palm juken. With that, the two samurai knelt forward unconscious, then tied the samurai up. I'll let the boss know while you stay here and continue to protect them, one of the clones said, and then dispersed. I'm going to the village to encourage people to fight Cat. Inari said. Can you take care of mom for me? No problem, kid. Do what you have to do, and I'll make sure your mom is safe and sound, a smiling clone said, as he watched Inari run towards the city yelling at people. The bridge. Sasuke and Aku's fight had already started, while Kakashi was being challenged by Zabuza. Naruto decided to stay with Sakura and Tazuna and see how things turned out. When Sasuke started to gain an advantage due to the tree climbing exercise, Aku activated his bloodline limit and instantly reversed the situation. Meanwhile, Kakashi was stabbed by Zabuza, and his Sharingan became unusable due to the thick fog. Zabuza vanished into the fog once more. Kakashi then realized that Zabuza's new targets were Naruto, Sakura, and Tazuna. Zabuza appeared behind Tazuna and was about to attack, but Naruto instantly pushed him away with his chakra kick. Don't come any closer or you'll regret it, Naruto said, furious. Kakashi appeared a second later, only to see Zabuza flying away. Shit. What a powerful kick. I think you have some broken ribs. Zabuza thought as she coughed up blood. Kakashi then went to look for Zabuza, thinking that now was the time to end this battle. Meanwhile, Sasuke was slowly weakening from Aku's attacks, and just as he was about to surrender, he remembered his clan's massacre and activated the Sharingan, which finally allowed him to see some of Aku's movements. But although he could see, he was too slow to react, not to mention his already exhausted body. Then, he let out a scream before collapsing from a hail of needles that hit him in the back. Naruto, hearing the scream, ran to where Sasuke and Aku were. Then he saw Sasuke collapsed, but he knew he was fine. I live because of Aku's personality, which was not willing to kill innocents. Aku, is this your answer? Naruto shouted at the mirrors. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but Zabuzazen has rejected your proposal, and I will follow him wherever he wants. Aku said. Summoning technique, Earth Release, Tracker Fang technique. Kakashi said after unrolling a scroll and smearing his blood on it. He then performed the necessary hand seals before slamming the scroll to the floor. It's useless, Kakashi. Whatever you do is useless, you can't find me, but I can find you. Zabuza said in the background. Then, from the ground, a pack of dogs appeared and grabbed Zabuza, leaving him motionless, startling him. These hunting dogs have an exceptional sense of smell. My blood is all over their weapons when they attacked me earlier, Kakashi said. Now I think it's time to end this. Kakashi started making hand seals, and a blue chakra ball was formed on his palm. When he finished the jutsu, Lightning Edge shouted. Zabuza. Coward. Selfish castle. Why would you try to take down someone who would do anything for you? Why would you sacrifice someone who is willing to use his own life just to protect your useless prick? All Aku wants is to be loved. All he wants is a home. But you are willing to discard it as a tool. He loves you. He really loves you. Bastard. Naruto shouted. Naruto-kun said Aku, but he instantly felt a disturbance and ran towards the fountain. Naruto also felt the disturbance and ran to the fountain. When Kakashi raised his hand and started to push, Aku appeared in front of the immobilized Zabuza, protecting him from the attack. Just before Kakashi hit Aku, another body appeared in front of Aku and pushed him. Kakashi's hand pierced through the person's body. When Aku looked up, what he saw was Zabuza, with an arm going through the lower right part of his chest. Then Naruto appeared and saw that Kakashi, instead of piercing Aku's heart, had pierced Zabuza, but not through the heart. Ha! Zabuza-san. Why is that? Aku said, surprised and confused, with tears in his eyes. Fool. Silly boy, that body you were? Cough. Protecting was just a water clone. Cough, Zabuza said, now coughing up blood. Then the water clone scattered into a puddle of water, and the dogs disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Kakashi, seeing what was happening, carefully withdrew his arm, then placed Zabuza carefully on the ground, and watched as Zabuza talked to Aku, who was crying now. Still, why? Why did you save me? I was supposed to die. I was not your tool, Aku shouted. Do you know? Cough. A moment ago there would have been no. Cough. I did what I did, but after listening. Cough. What that big mouth shouted. Cough. My body just moved on its own. He coughed up some more blood, and then continued lol. To think. Cough. That I, the demon Zabuza, would do something like that, cough. It would just make people laugh. Ha ha ha. Cough. Please stop talking. Please, Zabuza-san. Aku shouted. No. Cough. I have some things to say first. Cough. I'm running out of time. Cough took a deep breath before continuing. I'm sorry, Aku. I can't give you one. Cough. Good life. Don't be sad, boy. Cough. And don't seek revenge. Cough. You and I both know the risks. Cough. When we accept this mission. Cough, cough. I have always lived a life full of hatred and revenge. Cough. Because all I felt was. Cough. That a ninja is just a tool to be used and then discarded. Cough. But you lived a life of protection, a life full of love. Cough. A much better life. He breathed again and said, promise me that you will live a good one. Cough. Life. Then, raising an arm, he signaled Naruto to come closer, which Naruto did and knelt down next to Aku. Then he said that offer. Example. Is it still available? After nodding, Naruto continued. Then take Aku with you, example. I'll give it to you now. Ahum. Promise me you'll take care of him. Ahum, swear to me. I swear I'll take care of Aku. He won't be alone anymore, he'll be like a brother to me, Naruto said softly. Ha ha ha. You know what? Cough. This is probably it. Cough. The first time in my life that I am happy. I died protecting the one who is precious to me. His arm fell to the ground, indicating that he was no longer in this world. Naruto and Yaku's heads bowed silently, while everyone else stood there with a sad expression on their faces. The silence was short-lived, but an evil voice echoed across the bridge. Hehe. Now that most of them are injured, this makes things a lot easier, Gato said. Oh, what? What is this? Zabuza, that scumbag, has finally kicked the bucket. Hehe. What a relief. I was never going to pay him or his goons anyway. I was only planning to use it to weaken them, ninjas, and then kill them all with the men behind me. Cat laughed out loud and went on and calls himself the Fog Devil. What a joke. That's enough talking. Let the men kill them, let them kill them all. Ha 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 ha. I want to cut myself some ninja meat, said one of the cat baddies. Ah? Look at the girl, she looks like she could satisfy us. Hey, then we'll cut her into little pieces, said another, laughing hysterically. Then the whole group started shouting, kill, kill, kill. Then Naruto and Yaku stood up and raised their heads, looking at Gato and his men with pure hatred, unleashing a dense amount of murderous intent. Naruto then told Kakashi-sensei, "You're tired, let us handle this." Aku then told Naruto, "Naruto-kun, these will be my last deaths for Zabuzazen. Allow me to honor your name." Naruto then nodded and created about 50 shadow clones, all ready to kill. This was very scary to Gato and his men. Then, Aku performed the hidden fog technique when a cloud of fog covered Gato and his men. Naruto, including the shadow clones, and Aku left. In less than 30 seconds, all the men were killed except Gato and the person who threatened Sakura. Aku then approached Gato, who backed away frantically, saying, "Don't kill me. Don't kill me, please. I'll give you money. I'll give you all my money, but don't kill me." The short man shouted, "You have dishonored the name of Zabuzazen, and whoever dishonors his name, the result is death." Aku performed hand seals and shouted 1,000 flying needles of water of death. 1,000 needles began to pounce on the short man, and, after the attack, he fell dead, looking like a porcupine. Meanwhile, Naruto approached the man who was threatening Sakura. Frantically running away, he slipped in a puddle and fell. As he turned around, he started begging for mercy, but you could tell by Naruto's expression that there wasn't a shred of it. Naruto then formed 2 Rasengans, one in each hand. He slowly approached the man until he was next to the poor man on the ground, and then said, "You threatened my wife. Anyone who threatens my wives, the result is pain and death." Naruto then stuck a Rasengan in his crotch, shattering whatever was there. The man screamed in pain as he rolled over, clutching her mangled private parts. Naruto allowed him 10 more minutes of pain before ramming the second Rasengan into his head, killing him instantly. After a few moments, the fog disappeared and, to Sakura and Tazuna's surprise, all of Gato's men were dead, including himself. What surprised them the most was that Naruto and Yaku didn't have a scratch on them. And Nari shouted at them, and as they looked, they saw that all the men of the village were following him, carrying any weapon they could find. Naruto knew then that this village would no longer need protection from outside forces. Aku approached Zabuza's body and asked Kakashi and Tazuna if they could bury him there. Kakashi looked at Tazuna, who nodded. After getting approval, Kakashi collected Zabuza's body. Sasuke finally woke up due to the happy cheers of the townspeople. Tazuna then went and picked him up bridal style, which made him blush due to embarrassment. 2 weeks later, Zabuza's grave. The bridge was completed on time, thanks to the protection of the group, along with the shadow clones, who performed manual work. The group decided to visit Zabuza's grave one last time. They waited for Aku's last goodbye, and then went to say goodbye to Tazuna and her family. After seeing the group leave, Tazuna decided to baptize the bridge in honor of the hero who gave them hope and courage, who also helped to protect and to defeat Gato. Later, the bridge would become known as the Great Naruto Bridge. Country of Fire. Aku felt nervous and scared, so he decided to talk to Naruto, but he was assured that the Hokage is a good person and will gladly take him in. Kakashi, after hearing this, smiled and then asked Naruto, "Hey Naruto, why didn't the Hokage tell me anything about recruiting talented ninjas?" Naruto had to think of something quickly and then answered, "I don't know, Kakashi-sensei. I guess it's because you're always late for everything that the Hokage felt you'd probably forget something like this too." Naruto replied. Hearing this, Kakashi's shoulders dropped, and his head was left hanging looking towards the ground. Sakura tried to hide her laughter, but failed while keener Sakura praised Naruto for the response. Sasuke looked away pretending he didn't care, but there was actually a smile on his face. Kakashi then asked sadly how we are going to bring the village to Aqua. He does not have any identification, so he will not be allowed through the gates. That's a good question, Kakashi-sensei, but I've got it all covered, Naruto replied, and then pulled out a scroll. This scroll was given to me by the Hokage. It will allow anyone I bring back to enter Konoha. After being praised, a little life came back to him, and he decided to ask why the Hokage gave the scroll to you, and not to me. I don't know, Kakashi-sensei. But I guess the Hokage might be afraid that you'll mistake the scroll for your Ichika Paradise book. And leave it at home, Naruto replied while smiling. That was the death blow. Kakashi lost his whole life, and now he needed to be dragged back to Konoha for a shadow clone that Naruto created. Sakura was now laughing like there was no tomorrow, as inner Sakura celebrated with the Naruto fans waving around her. Sasuke now couldn't hide the wide smile on his face, and quickly ran in front of the group so that no one could see his smile. Aku, of course, was very confused, but decided to avoid further questions, seeing that Kakashi seemed to be dead. Office of the Hokage. Excellent work by the Mission 7 team. Everyone should go back now and get some rest, the smiling Hokage said, and then called Naruto to stay while everyone except Aku left the room. So your name is Aku, isn't it? Asked the Hokage. Yes, my name is Aku, please take care of me, Aku said while taking a bow. I still don't know what to do with you. I will have to test your skills myself first, and then I will decide where to go or what to do. What? Naruto shouted. Why won't Aku stay with me? I will show you the surroundings and Greek. Naruto stopped when Aku put him on. He used a hand on his shoulder and shook his head. It's okay, Naruto-kun, I'll be fine. But Aku, I promised Zabuza that I would take care of you. It's okay, Aku said with a smile. I can tell that the Hokage is a good person. When I look him in the eye, he won't do anything to hurt me. After seeing Aku's determination, and having the Hokage's word about Aku's safety, Naruto left the room, and went home wondering what the old man would do with Aku. 1 week later. Team 7 has just finished another mission of rank of. Kakashi had to leave so he could deliver a report, while Sasuke, after coldly rejecting Sakura, left to train some more, as he was frustrated that he had lost to Aku. So they left Sakura and Naruto alone, but that was short-lived when Konohamaru and his gang showed up asking Naruto to play ninja with them. Then Konohamaru saw Sakura and asked Naruto if she was his girlfriend, and Naruto replied by saying that Konohamaru is a genius. This provoked the ire of the pink-haired girl, who told Naruto that it was time to act and yelled at Konohamaru and his gang to run to. Then Konohamaru came across a boy about 14 or 15 years old who seemed to have makeup marks all over his face. Next to the boy was a girl with blonde hair and blue-green eyes, who had a giant fan tied to her back. Then the boy picked up Konohamaru by the shirt and said he was going to teach him some manners. Somewhere else. The Chunin and Honin have gathered in front of the Hokage. Is it time yet? Kakashi asked. Yes, I even saw candidates from other countries in the village. When will it happen? Genma Shiranui, a Honin from Tokubetsu, asked with a straw in his mouth. The Hokage replied, it will start in a week. Chunin exams will start in 7 days. Naruto and gang. Naruto then started walking towards the three of them. Seeing this, Konohamaru said, you're going to get it now. My boss is going to pulverize you. Then the boy looked at Naruto and replied, I would like to see him and try while smiling. But to their surprise, Naruto kept walking and passed by them until he was in front of the blonde girl. Then he grabbed her hands and said, Hello, beautiful, what's your name? This caused everyone to fall to the ground with a drop of sweat on the back of their heads. The girl responded by telling him that her name is Tamar and that the boy there is her younger brother, Kankuro. Tamari? What a fancy name. It fits you perfectly, Naruto said as he lifted her hand and kissed it. This made her blush, because no one had done such a thing to her before, or had the courage to do it. Seeing this, Kankuro and Sakura became furious, although Sakura didn't know why. Kankuro then shouted, Hey, let go of my sister, you brat. Ignoring Kankuro, Naruto then continued, "What is a beautiful but strong sand rose like you doing here?" Naruto asked with a sly smile, his sapphire blue eyes focused only on Tamari's. Sakura, now even more upset, said, "They look like foreign ninjas that they are doing here. It is against the law for them to enter the village without permission." Tamari, now blushing even more, replied, "You don't know. We are a genins. We are here to take the Chunin exams." Kankuro, now furious, raised a fist and was about to punch Naruto when a rock flew towards him and hit him in the arm. Everyone except Naruto and Tamari searched for the source and found Sasuke throwing another stone up and down while sitting on a tree branch. "You may be invited, but we do not tolerate violence towards our people," Sasuke snapped. Sakura and Moji shouted, "Sasuke-kun is so cool." Kankuro now removed the thing from his back, and it looked like he was going to fight, but before he could do anything else, a voice appeared behind Sasuke. "Kankuro. Kankuro, stop, you are an embarrassment to our village." This surprised Sasuke and Sakura as the red-haired boy appeared out of nowhere. Kankuro was literally scared and tried to save the situation, but he was threatened with death by the red-haired boy. After apologizing, Kankuro and the redhead were about to leave when Sasuke stopped them and asked their name. The boy replied that his name was Gaara, and in turn asked Sasuke's. Naruto finally realized what was happening. He raised Tamari's hand again and kissed it. "Looks like it's time for you to leave. I'll see you later, Tenshin," Naruto said with a smile, and a wink that made Tamari turn as red as a cherry. He then called Konohamaru and his gang and left the scene thinking then, "It's the Chunin exams again, this is going to get interesting." Just in case some of you are still confused, the Zabuza that injured Kakashi is a water clone. The Zabuza that Naruto kicked is the real Zabuza. Next, Chapter 7, the Chunin exams. The day before the exams, Kakashi gathers Team 7 early in the morning to deliver their applications to them. He then leaves them alone, while Sasuke returns to training, leaving Naruto and Sakura alone. Sakura feels useless and falls behind Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto, perceiving her concern, asks her what's wrong, and she begins to tell him her worries. "Sakura, remember what I told you the day of the bell test. Anyone who abandons his teammates is shit. If you feel like you can't do this test, then I won't do it either," Naruto said. "Naruto, you can't. What about your dream of becoming Hokage?" Sakura asked. "Yes, my dream is important. But if I were to compare my dream with you, then you would be more important," Naruto said. His eyes were now looking at Sakura with great intensity. Sakura's heart started beating like crazy, and her face started burning. "What should I do?" Sakura thought. "I think Naruto just confessed to me. What do you think? Kiss him, and don't tell me you haven't noticed how good he looks in that new outfit," said inner Isakura. "You've also stopped criticizing him every time he does something to you, like that time he was hugging you from behind." "Shut up," Sakura thought, but now that she thinks about it, it's true, and she also remembers how amazing she felt when he hugged her. "Naruto, I'm just a useless ninja. All those quests were completed, thanks to you and Sasuke-kun. Now with the Chunin exams, I'm afraid without you two I could." She never got to finish because Naruto pulled her to kiss her. "Shit. Wow. It feels so good," he said. "Nah, Naruto. What am I going to do? What's wrong with me tongue to tongue?" But that was the last thing he thought. 5 minutes later, they separated to get some Sakura air. "I never want to hear you say that you are useless again. For me, you are one of the 8 best female ninja in the world," a very serious Naruto said. Then he smiled. "Don't worry about the exams, Chunin. You'll do fine, just have more confidence in yourself. After all, you have the best chakra control of the 3, and the best general knowledge when it comes to genjutsu. Not to mention the fact that you are very intelligent," Naruto said with a wink. Sakura's face was now crimson red. She only managed to ascend, but when Naruto looked like he was about to leave, she instantly took his hand and said, "Don't leave." Naruto felt Sakura's hand, and then turned around and hugged her. "I missed you so much," Naruto whispered now with tears in his eyes. "Naruto. Did you say something? Sakura asked, now stroking the back of his head. Huh. Oh, nothing, I said I love you very much, Naruto said smiling, and then released her. Sakura, seeing Naruto with tears in his eyes, made her heart hurt. He loves me. He really loves me. Sakura thought, now also with tears in her eyes. Naruto, seeing her crying, kissed her again and then said, Don't worry, Sakura, I'm not going anywhere soon. I promise I'll protect you until the day I die. Do you promise? Sakura asked, looking Naruto in the eyes. I promise, Naruto said with a smile, then took her face with his hand and wiped her tears with his thumb. Now cheer up and I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Sakura nodded, and just as Naruto was about to jump, she grabbed him again and kissed him, and then ran off, leaving behind a bewildered but happy Naruto. The day of the Chunin exams. Hi Sakura-chan. Hi Sasuke. Naruto said when he went to meet Sakura and Sasuke. Hi Naruto. Naruto-kun. Sakura said while blushing. Sakura seems strange today, Sasuke thought. When they entered the building, there was a big commotion. Rogel and Tenten were trying to get through a door, but were stopped by two shinobi. Naruto, ignoring the commotion, started to head towards the stairs, but was stopped by the two when they noticed him. Hey, are you there? Why are you going up the stairs? One of them asked. Because I want to go to the exam room on the 3rd floor, Naruto replied. Sakura-chan, would you mind telling these idiots what floor this is? This is the 2nd floor, Sakura said. The whole floor is under Genjutsu, Sasuke replied when everyone seemed confused. After that, one of the shinobi attacked Sasuke, but both were stopped by Rogel. His friends came over and started chatting with him. Rogel then noticed Sakura and asked her out, but was instantly rejected. Neji approached Sasuke and asked for his name, but was ignored. Sakura, sensing the tension, dragged Naruto and Sasuke out of the place. After leaving the place, Rock appeared to him and challenged Sasuke to a match. Naruto, who didn't want to watch the fight, decided to go to the exam room first. Sakura decided to accompany Naruto, as she believed Sasuke would win, so there was no point. Sasuke nodded and said he would join them later. Naruto and Sakura approached the room and found Kakashi standing in front of it. Kakashi noticed that Sasuke had disappeared and asked him where he was. Sakura replied that Sasuke had been challenged by a boy named Rogel and told Kakashi not to worry, that Sasuke would be arriving soon. Moments later, Sasuke appeared with eyes full of excitement, and they entered the room. When they entered the room, they noticed that it was crowded, and then slowly, the other 9 newbies started to approach them. Hino jumped on Sasuke's back, while Naruto, noticing that Hinata grabbed her by the hand and took her away, completely confused. Sakura, noticing it, looked at Naruto and Hinata, completely ignoring Ino and Sasuke. Once they arrived at a relatively private place, Hinata gently asked Naruto-kunku. What's going on? Hinata-chan, you don't have to be shy to talk to me. You also need to speak louder or they won't understand you, Naruto said, smiling and continued to have more confidence in yourself. I don't like girls who I don't understand when they talk. She's scared Hinata. I'm sorry, Nana Naruto-kun, she said softly. Naruto then put on a serious expression. Okay, that's it. From now on, every time you stutter when you talk to me, I will kiss you. Naruto said, then noticing the surprise on Hinata's face, he smiled. First I will kiss you on the forehead, and if you continue, I will move on to the cheeks, and if you continue after that, I will kiss you right here. Naruto said, pointing to his lips. And Mata is now nervous as hell and red as a cherry. Naruto with kiss or the A4, why kiss or the Sakura, furious, looked angrily. What the hell is going on? He said It took Hinata a while to speak normally. Naruto thinks it was shame that made her stop stuttering, not his kisses. That's my girl, Naruto said as he lifted her chin and kissed her on the lips, making her wave her arms frantically. Naruto, with kiss, why kiss did you kiss me on the lips when I stopped stuttering? Hinata asked blushing. Why else? It's because you're so cute, he replied. Dio Naruto with a smile. And Mata almost fainted, but managed to control himself, probably because he doesn't want the dream to end. Sakura couldn't take it anymore and was about to approach Naruto, but Ino stopped her and asked what was wrong. The other 9 rookies also noticed that Sakura was acting out of shape. Strange, so they bombarded her with questions, preventing her from getting to Naruto. Then Naruto noticed that Temari was glaring at them, so he quickly grabbed Hinata and pulled her towards Temari and his brothers. Naruto nodded to Gaara and Kankuro before talking to Temari. Hi Temshin, how are you? You're looking prettier and prettier, Naruto said with a mischievous smile. Let me introduce you, I am Hinata Yuga. Hinata, this is Temari, Gaara, and Kankuro. Temari blushed at first, because of Naruto's comment, but then he glared at him when he saw Hinata holding his hand. Is she your girlfriend? He asked, which made Hinata blush. Is it jealousy I'm hearing? Naruto asked, then he raised his hand and kissed it. But Temshin, you have nothing to be jealous of. After all, you are the only desert rose in my heart. Then Temari blushed a deep pink, which made Kankuro rage, and Gaara had an expression that looked like he was ready to kill. Naruto, sensing danger quickly, looked around and found a figure. An empty row consisting of 4 chairs. I'll borrow your sister for a while, she told Gaara and Kankuro. Then, Naruto pulled Temari and Jimata towards the empty row. Temari went and sat by the wall, followed by Naruto, who sat next to him, while Hinata took the empty seat next to Naruto. Meanwhile, Kabuto has just joined the discussion of the 9 newbies, who finally moved away from Sakura to pay attention to Kabuto. Sakura was about to go get Naruto when she found out about the information cards and decided to wait and listen. Back with Naruto and the girls. After finally sitting down, Temari turned to Naruto then. You haven't told me your name yet. Which one is it? Hearing this, Naruto burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha. My name. I'll tell you what, my name is amazing. It's so shocking that guys would never want to say it and girls would die to shout it. Naruto said proudly. This piqued Temari's interest. Seriously. Tell me. Tell me. While Hinata looked confused. Ha ha ha. My name is Mai, and my last name is husband, Naruto said with an evil smile. Temari looked confused. My husband, what's so great about my husband? I've never heard of the husband's surname before, Temari said while thinking. Naruto, on the other hand, was sneakily laughing, while Hinata was sneakily laughing. Mum. My husband, you. Temari shouted, blushing and furious at the same time. He then raised an arm to slap Naruto, but he caught it. Ten-chan, a wife shouldn't slap her husband for no reason, you know. And later I'll show you what's great about your husband. Naruto said with a smile and a wink as he kissed her hand. Who is your wife? Temari shouted as she pulled her hand away from his grip. But Temshin. All those people heard you calling me your husband, and you have also been calling me with such passion. Temari looked around and saw people looking at her with mixed expressions. His face immediately warmed up. Using her hands, she covered her crimson face and turned to face the wall. Temari-chan, she's just teasing you. He always likes to play pranks on people. His real name is Naruto Uzumaki. Right, Naru? Naruto stopped Hinata from ending up by putting a finger in her mouth, and then said Inachin, others can call me Naruto. But my wives call me Narukuno, if you want, Narulo, Naruto said looking into her eyes, then winked at her and kissed her. On the cheeks. This time, it was Hinata's face that lit up, and like Temari, she covered her flushed face with her hands. Then, he moved away from Naruto, and looked towards the empty chair. Naruto looked at Temari, and then turned to look at Hinata still covering her face. This caused Naruto to burst out laughing happily. Meanwhile, a group of Sound Genies attacked Kabuto because of his comment about the Sound Village being small, and there was nothing to worry about. Then a boom was heard, and a person with scars all over his face appeared, accompanied by a dozen examiners. He introduced himself as Ibiki Morino, the chief examiner of the first test. While everyone was looking for a place to sit, Sakura was looking for Naruto with her eyes. Seeing him sitting with Tamar and Hinata, the inner Sakura cried out, "That's our Naruto. Those rascals." Sakura then approached them by heading to the empty seat next to Hinata, but then she saw a boy ready to take that seat. Just before the boy could sit down, Sakura grabbed the boy by the skull and threw him. Naruto, seeing Sakura taking the empty seat, said, "Hi Sachin, I missed you." Sakura then turned her head away from Naruto, making a sound, while crossing his arms. While the examiners were handing out the exams, Ibiki began to explain the rules. After hearing them, many were shocked and scared, including Sakura and Sasuke. Sakura starts to worry about Naruto, thinking that he might not even be able to answer a single question. She then looked at Naruto, who smiled at her and winked at her, leaving her totally confused. The exams will last 1 hour. Now, get started. Ibiki shouted. Naruto checked the exam sheet and laughed to himself, because it was the exact same exam that almost led to a mental breakdown. Smiling, he began to write the answers. 5 minutes later, he got up and, with the exam in his hand, started walking towards Ibiki. Everyone stared at him as he made his way towards Ibiki, with the same feeling of Naruto giving up. Naruto? Sakura thought. Naruto-kun, Hinata thought. Tamari, on the other hand, just watched him as he approached Ibiki. "What's up, kid? The exam is too difficult for you," Ibiki asked with a mocking smile. "So you quit because you can't take the pressure? Are you ready to abandon your companions, coward?" Naruto smiled and shook his head. Then, looking at Ibiki, he said, "No, I'm not going to quit." Who said he was going to resign? I'm here to turn in the exam because I've finished. This made everyone, including Ibiki, gasp. What? It was the word that was running through his thoughts. Ibiki got up and shouted that. "How can you be finished? The exam started just 5 minutes ago." He grabbed the paper and looked at it. With each question, his mouth fell open. "They are all correct. It's impossible. How did you do it?" And Vicky-sensei, a real ninja never reveals his secret, and if you think I cheated, you can ask any of those examinees if I cheated or not, Naruto said with a smile. Ibiki then looked at the Chunins who were still in shock, but then they all managed to shake their heads, indicating that they couldn't figure out how he could have cheated. "Well, if that's all, then I'll go back to my seat," Naruto said with a bow, leaving Ibiki with a teeth expression on her. It took everyone quite a while to get back to concentrating on their exams. Sakura, knowing that Naruto was fine, began to write the exam seriously. And Nata also showed very few problems with the exam, while Tamari did have them. One by one, the teams were slowly expelled due to being caught cheating, while other more successful cheaters managed to finish the exam. As the end of the hour approached, Ibiki began to tell them the terrifying 10th question. This again generated tension and fear in the remaining teams. This time, even more teams were disqualified due to the withdrawal of their teammates. And Vicky noticed that Naruto was smiling, then she approached Naruto thinking, "I'll get you this time, you cocky brat." Once he approached Naruto, he then asked him, "What is it going to be? Will you quit or will you accept the question knowing the dangers?" Naruto smiled and replied, "Of course I accept the question, there's no reason why I shouldn't." And Vicky, confused, asked, "You know the dangers, right? Why do you keep asking the question, knowing the consequences if you fail?" "Well, even if I fail the question here, I can take the Chunin exams in another village next time. Since these are just your rules, I doubt the other villages will respect them," Naruto said, bringing some who were about to surrender to reason. "Also, I never back down from challenges. That's my way of being a girl." What an interesting guy, he banished all worries instantly. The tension has dissipated. I doubt anyone will give up now after listening to it. Ibiki thought. He turned around and asked, "Is anyone else going to give up? This is the last chance." Hoping for help from others, but seeing none, he continued, "Didn't he? So, to all those who are left, congratulations. They passed the first test." He smiled. This caused a lot of shock and confusion, as many asked about the 10th question. And Vicky then proceeded to explain the purpose of the 9 questions and the real purpose of the 10th. At the end, there was a loud bang, and, while everyone was looking to see what was happening, a ninja was next to Ibiki, sticking a banner on the ceiling and announcing, "I am the examiner of the 2nd exam. My name is Anko Mitarasi, follow me," he said as he raised his fist. "Ankin is still as funny as ever," Naruto thought as he smiled. "And I have received several complaints about my story, and that is why I will now address them. Because the Hokage said that Naruto is Chunin Honen level even though he has a 12, 13-year-old body. Well, first of all, to become Chunin, all one needs is to reach a maturity level of leadership skills and tactical prowess, which 24-year-old Naruto definitely has, and not to mention the fact that Shikamaru was only 12, 13 years old when he became Chunin. To reach the Honen 1 level, you have to have a huge amount of experience, as well as great individual skills. To be 24 years old in Naruto would mean that he has had a high level of experience and has proven time and time again how skilled he is. It doesn't matter if she has a 12, 13-year-old body. Kakashi was only 13 when she became Honen. So I really don't see why you're complaining. The only thing preventing Naruto from becoming Honen or higher was due to the lack of chakra control in the new body, and other things like the lack of Sage Mode. And invocations, Naruto wouldn't need to keep doing chakra control exercises to achieve good chakra control. Not once have I said that Naruto has stopped doing his chakra control exercises, I just stopped mentioning them. Because I personally don't like to keep saying them to their faces and therefore making my story be boring. Why did Naruto only use 4 clones to train? Well, for the first week I only said that he uses 4 clones, but since I left out the clone training, how do you know that Naruto hasn't been using more clones for training? Why did the Hokage give Team 7 a C-rank mission after they became Genin for a week and a half? Well, you forget that Kakashi is one of the best Honen in the village and Naruto has a similar level. So there are 2 Honen in the team. Why wouldn't the Hokage give them a miserable C-rank mission? C. No, Naruto doesn't just eat ramen. Didn't you notice when I wrote about C being a cook and preparing breakfasts and lunches? How does climbing trees for just 2 days make you a master at it? During those 2 days, Naruto not only climbed trees, but also walked on water and practiced Rasengan. Walking on water is a superior way to walking on trees, while Rasengan is the highest level of gem manipulation. So, unless you're saying that Naruto got no benefit in chakra control from walking on water and doing Rasengan exercises, I don't see why you're complaining. In just those 2 days, climbing trees, more walking on water, more Rasengan, probably equal to or more weeks of just climbing trees. The only thing he should complain about is that Naruto didn't master walking on water right away. So yeah, by the time he fought Gato and his men, of course, his chakra control is good enough to create 2 Rasengans. No, I'm not dumb enough to make Naruto use Rasen Shuriken, because Naruto doesn't have Sage Mode yet. Why would I do that? The timeline? 4 days of training before the Irizen test. A week later, he accepted the C-rank mission. I do not know how far the country of the waves is from Konoha, but since it is outside the country of fire, I will make rough calculations. Since they were walking, not running or jumping from tree to tree, because Tazuna was an ordinary civilian, I guess it would take a month to reach the country of waves. You can agree or not, I don't care. Then a week of training. 2 weeks of building bridges. 1 month to return it, considering that they were in no hurry. A week of missions of rank of, and then to meet Suninins. 1 week of Chunin exam preparation. That adds up to a total of 3.5 to 4 months. I know it's 2 months less, but I was focusing on the story, not the chronology, so if it seems silly to you, so be it. I'm not a perfectionist, and I don't write perfect stories. If you are looking for a perfect story, this is not for you. This story is to entertain you, but if it frustrates you, better not read it. Since this is a fanfiction, I will change, and I have changed a lot of things, so don't ask me questions if they are minor details. Some of the things that are different were done on purpose for my story. If you have any good suggestions, I will consider them, but please think carefully before complaining without foundation.